All right, so here is a little list of give you an idea of what 2D milling to choose when you're going through there. There's a lot of choices there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different choices to pick from on your 2D milling, and we use some of them quite often and for specific things. So this is a little bit of a video to show you and hopefully explain what you're going to use these for. All right, first off. Cut the perimeter of a part, so that's going around the outside of the part. 2D contour is the one that we use to do that. With that, you're going to have to add tabs to it to keep it from coming loose, or screws to hold that in place to keep it from coming loose. I'm going to kind of show you what I mean by that. So let's first go here to Inventor. So here's our first little simple 2x2 block. If this, you remember, we have the tabs on there to hold that down into place. I have 2 tabs on this side here because I didn't want one down on the bottom of that curve, and 1 tab on each side of the other one. You can kind of see where it steps up to the tab. And that's a good thing. That's good to do on that one. Next, I have a little bit more complex part. This one's a little bit larger. I think it's 5 by 5 inches. So I added a couple tabs on each side of this. So you can see 2 tabs here, and there's 2 tabs on the back side. And that's a good way to do that one. Next, I have one a little bit different. This is actually a thing that I did on the router table, just when I was kind of playing around and trying to use it. I made a spool for my Christmas lights. So this is a 1 foot diameter circular shape. I had some pretty flutes to it here to make it look neat, and a piece of PVC pipe in between, and I rolled my Christmas lights on, just a big spool for Christmas lights. But with this, I didn't use any tabs at all. Instead, on my first step, what I did is I used the bore command, and I added in the bores out here in the middle of this. Once the bores were done, I paused the job, and then pilot drilled with the pilot pole or pilot bit into the sacrificial tabletop on the router table, put 3 screws in this to hold it in place, and then hit play again. And then it cut my contour all the way around the outside with no tabs on it at all. So then it didn't give me tabs to clean up. Because if you think about it on these other ones, wherever you add tabs, then you have to cut those tabs in 2, maybe with a Dremel tool. Then you have to clean those tabs up, sand down the edges. It's just a whole other step. So if you can design a part that can be held in place with screws, that's a much better design and will save you time in the future. Alright, going on. So that's kind of the outside of it. On the inside here, got a lot of different things here. So for small holes, 0.13 to 0.3 inch holes, use the bore. Basically that's a small hole. If you have a 1/8 inch cutter, you can go as small as 0.13 and it'll still bore that hole. Anything less, it won't do an 1/8 inch one because the bore actually does a little bit of a spiral motion to it. If you're using a 1/4 inch cutter, it'll do a 0.3 hole, no problem. So anywhere kind of in that range, depending on the size of cutter you're using. If you're using a 1/4 inch cutter, you obviously can't make any holes smaller than the cutter. And actually, I think 0.3 is about the minimum you can go on that. And the way that looks like is this. Let's go back here to Inventor. On our little 2x2 block, here's a bore that I did here. You can see what it does. It does a little teeny tiny spiral path and cuts down on the bore. So that's the way the bore kind of looks there. I don't know if I did any bores on this one. I did not do any bores on this one. So that's kind of what the bore looks like. Next, medium-sized holes. 0.3 to 0.1 inches. Use the pocket command. Depends on the size of the cutter. If you're going to use an 1/8 inch cutter, I would not use pocket to do a 1 inch hole. It does a lot of path on it, and it takes a long time to cut something that large using an 1/8 inch cutter because it overlaps and it cuts everything entirely and removes everything in there. And I'll kind of show you what that looks like here in a minute. For a 1/4 inch cutter, then 1 inch hole would be fine with the pocket. Smaller holes, 0.3 and larger, with pocket with an 1/8 inch bit is great. This is the way this kind of looks. So first off on this one, I use pocket here. And remember the way the pocket works is it goes down, it spirals down, makes the first hole all the way to depth, and then does a spiral cut out, which is that blue path, to remove all the material. So there it is there. On this one, let's look at our first pockets. I did pocket on these 2 holes, again spirals in, this larger one is spiraling out, and this takes a little bit longer. Just imagine if you're doing a hole this large using that command. It'll take a long time clearing out all of this, and you don't want to take that much time. You always want to do it most efficiently possible. Next, here's another option of the pocket command. Holes that you don't have that go all the way through. So you have a hole that goes down partially, maybe you have a square end block of a motor that has to go into this or whatever, that goes partially through your material. Pocket's really the only way to do that, because you do want to remove all the material. So it'll spiral down in the center and then do a path all the way around continually until it gets all that material totally removed. And that's once it doesn't go all the way through. So that's a good use for pocket, and I have that on the list also down there. Holes that do not go all the way through, use pocket. So that's a good place for pocket. Next, large holes. Large holes between 0.5 and 1.5, use the 2D contour for that. And the smaller the hole, the 0.5, that would be for like an 1/8 inch cutter. You use the contour, no problem. Kind of overlaps a little bit over this one. And up to 1.5, that's if you're using maybe a 1/4 inch cutter on that. And what this will do, let's go back to the CAD. Let's go to, I guess I did it here on this. Yeah, here I have contour. So here I have a contour on this. So, you know what? I'm going to pause this and make it work. Alright, so let's recap on that just a second. So large holes, 0.5 to 1.5, 2D contour. I already said it kind of depends on the size of cutter you use. Now I have a good example of the drawing to show you that. So here's one using a 2D contour. This is a large 1 1/4 inch hole. This is a 1/2 inch hole. So all it does when it does that is it goes in, goes down to full depth, makes one circle around, and then your inside piece in here, the plastic or whatever you have, is just loose and floating around in there. If you're using a small cutter, 1/8 inch cutter, this large hole floating around in there, it can wobble around in there and it can actually snap off your 1/8 inch bit. Smaller holes like a 1/2 or even maybe 1 inch really won't do that because they're so light it won't wobble around and get jammed in there. If you're using a 1/4 inch cutter, it's just fine. You can go up to 1 1/2 inch holes and do that hole, just contour in there. The piece is loose in there, but it really won't hurt anything. At least we haven't had any issues with that, doing that. So that's with those kind of medium-sized holes. You just do the one spiral cut around using the 2D contour or making holes, and it really works pretty good. Now, very large holes, that's 1 1/2 inches and larger. Use contour, but add tabs or screws to hold the center of that into place. So what I'm saying there is let's look at this example that we looked at just a moment ago. So this example, I used a contour to do this inside portion. Now this is a pretty big thing. This thing's like 4 inches wide, 3 inches tall here. It's a big block. So that big of a block in there, using an 1/8 inch cutter for sure, that thing's going to wobble around in there and definitely snap off your bit. So with that, you're going to go in there, you're going to have your tabs on it. It's going to hold that centerpiece in place so it doesn't move around. And then once it's all cut out, you cut around the outside of the object, you'll just have this piece to remove and remove those tabs in there. Even large circular holes, you can put those in and hold those in place with some tabs. Another way of doing that is what we've done before, is especially if you're taking multiple passes on it, this has those 2 paths in here. After the first path goes around, you know where your cutter's going to be. You can grab a drill and you can drill and do a pilot hole out here in the center, here, and possibly one over in here, and you can put a screw through this and screw it down your sacrificial board, and then not have to do the tabs. Again, I like that. It saves you doing those tabs, and because it's just a pain cleaning up those tabs. You do have to, however, make sure that you're not going to be running into your cutters or your cutter into the screws, because again, that's going to ruin the cutter instantly. An 1/8 inch cutter, as it goes by, as it barely touches the screw, it just snaps it off. Alright, so that's just different things here on what ones to use. This document showing this will be there in the router table folder